Good afternoon. My name is Brian Schlichting with the University of Nebraska Benefits Office, and thank you for joining us today. Today, we'll be talking about the upcoming changes to the University of Nebraska Retirement Plan. I'm joined today by Paul Eiding of TIAA and Jason Cronick of Fidelity. Dr. Brian Baugh, an assistant professor of finance at UNL, is joining us online to assist with answering questions. And also joining us online today is Dr. Brian Payne, an associate professor of finance at UNO, who will also be assisting in answering questions. First, let's start with just some general housekeeping items here. I'll make some opening remarks, then Paul and Jason will discuss the changes at their institutions. You can type your questions in at any time using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen, and we will answer your questions at the end of the presentation. We'll end the session at 90 minutes. We'll attempt to answer as many questions as possible, and if we don't get your question answered, our contact info is at the end of this presentation. So let's get started. First, let's discuss why the change. The university is making this change to provide a lower cost retirement plan for university employees and retirees. These changes will provide streamlined and diversified investment options for plan participants. The plan will also provide additional investment options for advanced investors who want to further customize their portfolios. Overall, our goal is to offer a best-in-class retirement plan for our employees and retirees. It's important to note what's staying the same. There'll be no changes to the 401A basic retirement contribution rates, and funds will remain 100% vested right away. Further, Fidelity and TIAA will continue to administer your retirement investments going forward. So what is changing? And we'll talk about these in more detail shortly. Record-keeping fees will transition to a simple and more transparent fixed dollar per head pricing structure. The core investment options will be transitioned to a streamlined menu with low cost and diversified investment options. A brokerage window will be added at TIAA and Fidelity that allows access to thousands of off-menu funds. The effective date of these changes is November 8th, 2022. Where will the savings go for these changes? Plan participants, meaning employees and retirees, will receive 100% of the benefits of the cost savings. There is no employer savings from these changes. This change is not unique to the University of Nebraska. Many other employers have or are in the process of making similar retirement plan changes. Nebraska's retirement plan changes are similar to recent changes being made by the following universities: Harvard, Stanford, Carnegie Mellon, Yale, Delaware, and many more. Now let's talk a little bit about the details of the changes. Let's start with the record-keeping fee changes. Nebraska is transitioning to a simple and transparent fixed dollar per head record-keeping fee, regardless of how many accounts an individual has. So if you have a 401A, a 403B, or a 457B retirement plan account, you will pay the same one transparent fixed dollar per head record-keeping fee. That fee at Fidelity will be $29 per year. At TIAA, that charge will be $38 per year. If you have investment balances with both TIAA and Fidelity, you'll be charged $67 per year. You'll have to pay $29 per year for your Fidelity investments and $38 per year for your TIAA investments. Now let's talk about the new core investment menu for the retirement plan. There will be a harmonized menu at Fidelity and TIAA. That menu will consist of Vanguard Target Retirement Date Funds, Vanguard Total U.S. Stock Market Index Fund, Vanguard Total International Stock Market Index Fund, the Vanguard Total U.S. Bond Market Index Fund, the Vanguard Federal Money Market Fund, and a brokerage account for access to thousands of off-menu funds is being added at both TIAA and Fidelity. Those brokerage accounts will include many of the mutual funds you're currently invested in. At TIAA only, participants will continue to have access to the TIAA traditional annuity, just like today. Here are the fee expense ratios for the funds being added to the core menu. Note there's a different expense ratio for the 401A and 457B plans than the 403B plan. That's because federal regulations prevent CITs, which is short for collective investment trust, being used for the 403B plans, which is the reason you see different fee ratios for the 401A, 457 plan, and the 403B plan. How this transition happens is through a process called mapping. Mapping is the process by which existing assets and contributions are migrated to the new menu. You might be asking, why are my existing balances being mapped? The reason is to make it easier for plan participants to transition to the new low-cost menu and to facilitate the transition to the new plan. What's the proposed mapping process? On November 8th, all future contributions will be automatically changed to the age-based Vanguard Target Date Fund. Also on November 8th, all existing assets that are mappable will be automatically changed to the age-based Vanguard Target Date Funds. Employees and retirees will have the opportunity to opt out of the above changes. It's important to note there is some existing assets that are not being mapped. Those investments not being mapped are current assets held in the Fidelity 403B plan and current assets held in TIAA traditional, TIAA real estate, and CREF variable annuities. Since most assets are being mapped to the Vanguard Target Date Funds, this slide explains how the Target Date Funds invest your contributions. The younger you are, the more aggressively your funds are invested, meaning you have more exposure to asset classes such as US stocks. As you age, the Target Date Funds become more conservatively invested. You might be asking, what if I don't want to invest in the Vanguard Target Retirement Funds? There's a transition window during which you may change your allocation of existing assets and future contributions to any of the investment choices on the new core menu or any of the thousands of mutual funds available in the brokerage window, including many of the mutual funds you're currently invested in. The final change I'd like to discuss is the changes to the TIAA traditional annuity. TIAA traditional will still be offered under our core investments, but we're transitioning to a new contract for the TIAA traditional annuity product. The existing TIAA traditional annuity has a 9-year withdrawal period, a 3% minimum crediting rate guarantee, and its current crediting rate is 5.5%. The new TIA traditional annuity has a 7-year withdrawal period, a 1% minimum crediting rate guarantee, and its current crediting rate is 5.75%. Lifetime income options remain available on both the existing and new TIAA traditional annuity contracts. The final item I wanted to address before I hand the presentation over to Paul is a frequently asked question that we get. The question is, what about retirees or separated employees? These changes will impact retirees and separated employees with balances in the University of Nebraska retirement plan. As a reminder, unless you intervene, existing TIAA CREF variable annuity balances and Fidelity 403B investments will remain unaffected. And all non-annuity assets and non-Fidelity 403B investments will map to the low-cost age-based Vanguard Target Date Funds unless you intervene. Now I'm going to turn the presentation over to Paul Eiding of TIAA, and he's going to discuss the changes at TIAA. Paul, the presentation's yours.
Well, thank you very much, Brian. First of all, thank you for the opportunity this afternoon to discuss how these changes are going to impact our participants here with TIAA. For those of you who are not familiar with me, again, my name is Paul Eiting. I'm a senior financial consultant with TIAA based out of Omaha, and I've been an advisor with TIAA since 2015. I look forward to having a brief discussion here today, but also we'll highlight some resources and ways where we can stay connected in the future as these changes come about. Next slide, please. So overall, we're going to talk really through about 4 different categories in regards to these changes. First, why the change is taking place on the plan, overview of those specific updates, so ways where you can continue to manage your TIAA account, and then also, like I mentioned earlier, some resources that we'll be able to provide you for ongoing support and guidance. Next slide, please. So overall, the plan is really to focus on making it easier for you to plan and invest for retirement, and of course, using some lower cost plan options as well. Next slide. The new investment lineup is to help you create a portfolio aligned with your goals. So the University of Nebraska has carefully selected a range of options, including mutual funds and annuity and collective investment trusts, or CITs. Remember, TIAA Traditional will remain a part of the fund lineup. There is going to be a self-directed brokerage option from TIAA, and all future contributions and TIAA mutual fund balances outside of a brokerage account will be directed to the new investment options. And I will specify for TIAA participants some of those milestones so you can keep abreast of when those changes are going to happen and what you can do. Next slide, please. So as Brian shared, this is the new investment lineup for the supplemental, which is the 403B retirement plan, and the pre-1990 basic retirement plan, which is also a 403B retirement plan. As mentioned, mutual funds are going to be made up of the fund lineup going forward, in addition to TIAA's traditional annuity. In the supplemental retirement plan, TIAA Traditional's annuity is 100% liquid, in addition to the pre-1990 and the 401A plan, where TIAA Traditional will be transitioning into an annuity with a 7-year withdrawal rate as opposed to the 9-year withdrawal rate. Next slide, please. This is the CIT options within the plan. Again, there are Vanguard target date funds assigned as age-based investments, as well as other mutual funds, in this case CITs, that are more targeted to specific investments. And again, TIAA Traditional will be available for all plans for future contributions. Next slide. So I'm going to highlight some key things to consider if you are thinking about adding the self-directed brokerage window to your retirement plan. Of course, it provides access to thousands of mutual funds beyond each plan's investment lineup, but I also want to highlight that this is for experienced investors considering its self-directed makeup. It is not monitored by the University of Nebraska or TIAA. What you can do if you want to choose the self-directed brokerage option is allocate up to 95% of all available balances into the brokerage window, and we will waive transaction fees for the first 6 months of the window. Again, the University of Nebraska neither selects nor monitors investment funds available through self-directed brokerage accounts, and TIAA doesn't offer investment advice for balances in these accounts. It's important to consider whether or not you have the time and expertise necessary to manage your own investments in this account. Next slide, please. We are going to be administering a new type of plan account within TIAA. You will be enrolled in a new type of plan called a Retirement Choice and/or Retirement Choice Plus contract within TIAA. All future contributions and mutual fund balances will transfer to the new accounts. However, annuities or annuity balances will remain in your current accounts. For those of you who are unsure in regards to the difference between a mutual fund and your annuity, if you look at your account allocation, if you have TIAA Traditional and/or TIAA Real Estate, they will remain in your current contracts, as well as any CREF annuity. CREF annuities are assigned a letter R3 next to them, indicating its current expense ratio. That's how you can tell whether or not you're invested in an annuity versus a mutual fund. Any TIAA-CREF mutual fund will be transferred over to the new fund lineup. Also, I wanted to point out retirement choice contracts. That's actually the new contract for your 401A. Retirement Choice Plus contracts would be the new contract for any 403B supplemental plan and any 457B plan as well. Your self-directed brokerage account will be transferred to those new accounts. Next slide. What to consider if you have balances in the TIAA traditional annuity. Remember, in the new plan, the minimum guaranteed rate will be between 1% and 3% in the new accounts. This adjustable rate allows TIAA to be more responsive to the prevailing interest rate environment and may potentially pay you additional amounts. Moving money from your current account to the new account is permanent and money cannot be moved back. So for example, if you were to elect to move money from TIAA real estate and annuity into your retirement choice account to invest in one of the new funds in the fund lineup, you will not be able to move money back in to the old plan to reinvest into an annuity. And it is a permanent move. TIAA traditional annuity balances in the retirement choice and retirement choice plus accounts can be liquidated more quickly. So in essence, as was pointed out during Brian's presentation, was that TIAA traditional and balances in the retirement annuity account, meaning your 401A or your pre-1990 403B has a current withdrawal rate of 9 years. And in the new plan, that will be reduced to 7. And again, I want to point out TI traditional as a fixed annuity can provide lifetime guaranteed benefits or a lifetime income from that plan upon retirement. If you have additional questions about this, feel free to schedule a consultation with myself or talk to my colleagues to learn more about how this would impact your current savings in TI traditional. Next slide, please. So here's how the new low cost and fee transparency is going to be administered within the plan. Starting October 1st, a $9.50 per participant fee will be assessed on a quarterly basis. Next slide. One key highlight in terms of saving going forward using the University of Nebraska supplemental retirement plan that is also going to be a part of the enhancements is the ability for you to make Roth conversions inside of the 403B plan. What a Roth conversion is to take current pre-tax savings in the 403B and elect to have those converted to Roth after-tax savings. The benefit is to be able to seek tax-free growth on those Roth dollars going forward and to also allow for tax-free withdrawals from the plan in retirement. That said, a Roth conversion is a taxable event in the tax year that you create the conversion. So it is important to seek guidance and advice from a tax advisor before making decisions on whether or not a Roth conversion is right for you. Next slide. Here's some of the key milestone dates for our TIAA participants in their plan. Starting August 15th, the new self-directed brokerage account was added to the option for you to begin investing in that self-directed brokerage account. On September 15th, the new investment options will be added to all plans. So this will be the time where you would be able to go in and intervene or make your own decisions on your future contributions and your allocations that are currently sitting in mutual funds would go to if you do not want the target date investment option in terms of its mapping process. I also want to point out this will be the time where you'll be able to go in to add additional accumulations and future contributions to the TI traditional annuity and the new retirement choice contract. The new fee structure will take place again on October 1st. We'll start quarterly fees of $9.50. That is that $38 fee that Brian had mentioned, by the way. November 8th, that is the new account enrollment period. So this is when investments update to the new fund lineup and Roth in-plan conversions are going to be offered at this particular time. And then the week of November 14th, mutual fund, CIT, and brokerage balances will transfer to the new accounts, the retirement choice and retirement choice plus contracts. Next slide. So steps you can take. Consider your investments and check your beneficiaries. Again, you can change your investment options starting on September 15th. Consider retirement investment advice for help selecting investments or increasing your savings, just to make sure that you're still on track for retirement. Check your beneficiary designations across all of your plans. Next slide. So what if you do nothing? Let's review that. All future contributions at TIAA-CREF mutual fund balances outside of the brokerage account will be directed to the new Vanguard target retirement date investment options. You will be automatically enrolled in a new Retirement Choice and/or Retirement Choice Plus account. All future contributions in mutual fund balances will be transferred to this new account. And your current beneficiaries will be applied to your new accounts as well. Next slide. So let's talk about how you can actually go about managing your TIAA retirement account. So let's advance to the next slide, and I'm going to show you a screenshot of TIAA.org. So when you log into your TIAA account, and if you haven't already done so, now would be a good time to create online access to gain a little bit more access to some of the tools that will help you going forward. What you can do on the website, of course, is review your investment options. And again, starting in September, on the 15th, you'll be able to make changes to those investments. And you'll also be able to update your beneficiary information right there on the website as well. Next slide. So here's where you're going to be able to get help going forward. If you have questions about your plan, feel free to give us a call and talk to one of my colleagues in our National Contact Center. They can be reached at 800-842-2252 on weekdays from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time. Or you can visit our scheduling page, which is TIAA.org/schedule now, or call us at 800-732-8353 to schedule an appointment with a TIAA financial consultant, or even with myself, where I have available appointments both in person and virtual consultations as well. If you would like to engage in some planning on your own, you can go to TIAA.org/retirement advisor. This is a resource that's there to help make sure that you're tracking appropriately for your goals for retirement. It'll help give you information in terms of whether you're saving enough in your retirement plan, and if you need to increase your contributions, how much you would increase those by to get yourself on track. It's also a way for you to include outside investments and other income sources that you might have in retirement. So you're being more inclusive with your plan and looking more holistically across all of your different investments and income sources that you plan on using for retirement, and also gain access to guidance to make sure that you're properly allocated to your risk tolerance and time horizon. Next slide, please. And once again, I want to take this opportunity to say thanks to Brian and to the University of Nebraska for the opportunity to speak to our participants today in regards to these changes. And of course, we'll be here to assist you in any way that we can going forward to help make sure that you have access to the right information and guidance with regards to the investment changes and how that's going to impact your plan. Now I'd like to actually pass it off to Jason Cronick with Fidelity, who's going to speak specifically to his participants and how these changes will impact their plan.
All right, thanks, Paul. I may look familiar for a lot of you. My name is Jason Cronick. I am the Fidelity financial consultant working with the University of Nebraska now for the past 14 years. I know change can be different and sometimes a little bit scary, but I look at this as a great opportunity for us to review the accounts that you have, understand what you're invested in, and then making changes accordingly. Like Paul mentioned, there's going to be availability for both to meet with Fidelity and TIA. There'll be a slide at the end. If you're not 100% sure what to do when you're done with this presentation, definitely feel free to schedule an appointment and we'll make sure we get you taken care of. Next slide, please. So let's take a quick review of what's happening to the plan accounts and investments at Fidelity. You also can review the plan changes on our website at www.netbenefits.org/University of Nebraska. If you're looking for a cheat sheet to how to get to that website quicker, just do a Google search for Fidelity space University of Nebraska, and it's a very top link. It'll take you to all the changes that are happening. But a new core investment lineup and a self-directed brokerage option will be available. Investment options not invested in the core fund lineup will be removed from the plans. And then you can refer to the appendix in that retirement plan change for accounts document that was mailed out to you to see all the different investment options that are being removed. There's going to be a new 403B supplemental account that will be established with the new core investment lineup. So you actually can log on today into your Fidelity accounts. And if you're currently doing the 403B, you will see a new account there. It'll be titled NOV 2022 403B. That will be your new 403B for contributions after November. So you actually can go in today and elect how you want your future money to be reinvested. The existing 403B, so if you log online and you see a 403B with the plan number 54777, those investment options will not be affected by these changes. They will stay in the exact same Fidelity funds that you have, but as new contributions will go into that new 403B account going forward. There will be an option for a one-time in-kind transfer of the Fidelity mutual funds to a brokerage link account. There's a new single transparent record-keeping fee of $29 per year for all Fidelity accounts. So even if you have 4 Fidelity accounts with Fidelity, it's just a flat $29 for all 4 accounts. There's also going to be a new Roth in-plan conversion feature that will be available on all supplemental 403B accounts. And just remember, if you are a former employee and you have an account balance in that 403B that has the number 54777, that account is not being impacted. The investments are staying where they are. Next slide, please. So effective Monday, August 15th, the following investment options will be added to the 401A, the 457, the new 403B, and the pre-1990 account. You can begin directing future contributions, making changes to the existing balances into these new core fund lineup today. Next page, please. The University of Nebraska System has determined that if you've not made an investment choice in the new core Vanguard investment lineup by 3 p.m. on November 7th, your future contributions and account balances will be transferred into the Vanguard target date fund that closely resembles your age, and the university has selected an age of 67 for a retirement date. The target date funds are a mix of stocks and bonds and other investments that automatically becomes more conservative as you approach retirement date. Just remember, principal invested is not guaranteed, so these will fluctuate just like anything else in the market. Keep in mind, a lot of you may already be in a Fidelity or a Vanguard or a TIAA target retirement date. For those of you that are already in a target date retirement fund, if you want, you can elect to do nothing, and then it will automatically move into the Vanguard version of the target retirement date. Next slide, please. So for those of you that want to invest in mutual funds at Fidelity that will be removed from the investment lineup, you have the ability to invest in what's called a self-directed brokerage account, or what we call as a brokerage link. There's going to be a one-time transfer in kind of the assets in the 401A, the 457, the deferred compensation account, and the frozen pre-1990 account. Remember, it does not apply to the 403B account. So what the self-directed brokerage account really does for you, it offers the flexibility of combining your workplace account with having additional account mutual funds available for you. So inside this brokerage link account, you have the ability to invest in 3,000 plus different Fidelity and non-Fidelity mutual funds that are at no transaction charge. Now, just keep in mind that the investments in this brokerage account, the employer is neither the fiduciary, neither evaluates nor monitors the investments available through brokerage links. So it is your responsibility to make sure that the investments you select are suitable for your situation, your time, your goals, and your risk. So for a lot of you, if you're not comfortable picking and choosing what you're currently doing, this may not be an option for you. It may just be kind of out of your expertise realm, and the target date funds may just be a better option for you. Next slide, please. So there is going to be a one-time transfer, which I mentioned, into this brokerage link account. So if you'd like to keep your Fidelity mutual funds the way you have them today in the 401A, the 457, or the pre-1990 account, you have the ability to do that. Remember, it does not apply to the 403B with the number 54777 because those assets are remaining in the Fidelity investments they're currently in. So what does an in-kind transfer mean? It means your holdings will not be liquidated or sold. They'll simply be transferred into that brokerage link account in kind. If you want to do that, if you want to keep your Fidelity mutual funds, you must open that brokerage link account prior to October 7th. By doing this, if you have a brokerage account open prior to October 7th, that gives permission for Fidelity to automatically transfer the Fidelity funds over as is. No additional paperwork is needed. Just open up the brokerage account. We will transfer the investments over in kind. Now, the mutual funds with institutional share classes, what that means is if you look at your Fidelity investments and you see it has a K or a K6 after the name, that means those are in a special share cost mutual fund, which means when it transfers to that brokerage link account, it will transfer into its retail share class, basically what everyone else will be investing in. So the expenses between the institutional and the retail will be slightly different, but it still allows you the ability to keep the mutual fund you're currently in. There's no annual cost to establish the brokerage link account or to participate in this. It's 100% voluntary. Next slide, please. Here are some of the key dates to be aware of. Like I mentioned before, effective now, as of Monday, the new core investment lineup and the brokerage link account are available for you to set up and go into. The new record keeping fee, which we went over before, will be effective October 1st. If you want to be included in that one-time in-kind transfer to that brokerage link account, make sure to have that brokerage link open prior to October 7th. And then on October 7th, any investment options that you're currently in with Fidelity funds are going to be removed. And then the default investment options will be made available. But if you open up your brokerage link account ahead of time or you make changes prior to that date, they will automatically be in effect. And then on November 8th, the investment lineup changes to the new core lineup is complete. We're going to be adding that new in-plan Roth feature to the supplemental 403B options accounts. And then the new administration changes to enrolling, making changes to salary deferrals and provider are in effect. So a lot of good things coming down the road to make it streamlined and easier for you to enroll and change contributions. Next slide, please. Let's look at how the investment options will transfer to the new core fund lineup. This table is kind of broken down between how future contributions talk about what you contribute, what the employer matches, and then the right-hand side talks about what the balance is, the money that's currently in the account today. So if investment elections for future contributions are not selected into a core investment option, or you do not pick the brokerage link option, the future contributions will be directed into the default investment option, which would be that Vanguard target date fund based on your age and assuming retirement at 65. Now, if you go in and your elections are directed into one of the core Vanguard funds or into the brokerage link, you're done. The future contributions will automatically continue as they're currently going. Now, if account balances, so the money in the existing accounts are not invested in the core investment options or in the brokerage link account, same thing will happen. All money would be then sold off, and then they would be redirected into the Vanguard target date funds. But if you go in prior to that November 7th and you move your money or set up that brokerage account, they will automatically be in place, and then you're set to go. Just keep in mind that changes to the 403B, that account number 54777, do not apply because the current Fidelity funds will not be changing. Next slide, please. So you get to decide. You can select how you want your future investments and your balances to be moved between the core investment lineups or into that self-directed brokerage account effective today. Be sure to make the investment elections in the new supplemental 403B, that contributions that are made after November 8th. So what we talked about before, if you're currently adding money into that supplemental 403B account, they opened up a brand new 403B for you for all new contributions after November 8th. So make sure you go into that account and pick where you want the investments to go into. Otherwise, it will automatically just go into the Vanguard target date fund. If you want to do the brokerage link account and participate in that in-kind transfer, just make sure you have the account opened up prior to October 7th. And then just remember, if you've not made any investment choices into the new core lineup prior to 3 p.m. on November 7th, your future contributions and applicable balances will then transfer into that default investment. So just make sure you go into your Fidelity Net Benefits account. Like I said earlier, it's a perfect opportunity to kind of log into your account, make sure the investment options are appropriate for you, and then make changes accordingly. That's in your best interest. Next slide, please. So we look forward to helping you prepare for the future and the upcoming plan changes. Like I mentioned, I mean, if this is all over your head, please sign up for a consultation and meet with either Paul or myself or one of our phone associates. We have lots of availability, either phone, virtual, or in person on all 4 campuses. So we're here to help to make sure you get through this transition period, and we're going to make it as smooth and seamless as possible for you. Next slide, please. With that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to Brian just to kind of go over more of the timeline, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason and Paul. I'll now conclude, and then we'll answer your questions. We've been answering some of them online, but feel free to continue submitting your questions, and we'll discuss some of the overriding themes we're seeing in the questions too at the end here. So this slide provides an overview of when the changes will occur. On Monday of this week, August 15th, the new core investment options and self-directed brokerage became available at Fidelity. The self-directed brokerage is also now available at TIAA. On September 15th, the new core investment options, the Vanguard funds in the core menu, will be available at TIAA. October 7th is the deadline for the self-directed brokerage accounts to be established at Fidelity to be included in the one-time transfer in kind for your Fidelity accounts. On November 7th, the new core investment options and self-directed brokerage accounts become your total offering available in the University of Nebraska retirement plans. Future contributions and applicable account balances will transfer to Vanguard target retirement options. If you have not made, that is, unless you've made prior elections to the new core investment lineup or self-directed brokerage accounts. The one-time transfer in kind of mutual funds at Fidelity to a self-directed brokerage account will also take place on November 7th. On November 8th, the new core investment lineup for the University of Nebraska retirement plans is complete. The new TIAA Retirement Choice and Retirement Choice Plus contracts are established for TIAA participants. And finally, on November 14th, TIAA mutual fund balances are transferred to the new Retirement Choice and Retirement Choice Plus contracts.